Hey guys, welcome back to AS Advice. I cannot believe I'm going to start this video with the same sentence I used for the last one, which was to just basically apologise for how long it's been since I've actually made a video. I've just been so busy with university, teaching at school, and I've just been travelling in Japan for the past couple of weeks. I've just been so busy. So I'm so sorry that I've not been able to answer any emails or any questions. I'm here now, I've got the whole entire month off before I have to go back to school. So, let's begin this video. So I was scrolling through all my emails and one just popped out straight at me. I knew instantly that I had to answer this one first because I knew it was going to apply to the majority of my viewers. So, I'm going to read out the email to you so you know exactly what we're on about. Various advice. Words can't describe how brilliant your videos have been for me during my time diagnosed with Ankylosing Spondylitis. I have been bedridden for the best part of 2 weeks, unfortunately, because the pain has been so excruciating. The pain seems to be easing off and I'm able to do the most minimal of tasks. At the end of the day, I'm still drugging myself up on painkillers. I have a 2-bit part question for you. Firstly, how long does inflammation last? And the second part is, can you personally predict exactly when you are going to get your inflammation so you can avoid it? Sorry to hear exactly how much pain you've been in. I can totally understand and relate to that. I'm sure many people can. To answer the first part of your email about how long does inflammation last for, the truth is nobody really knows. I could never ever give you a very accurate answer, and I don't think anyone out there could either, because the truth is inflammation, the closest thing that I could relate to anyone that's just recently been diagnosed with it, it's like a volcano. It's pressure. You don't know how much that pressure is, you don't know how much it wants to release. At the end of the day, the only thing you know is that it's going to happen, and the best advice I could give you for anyone right here is, if you are having an inflammation, just go to bed, lie down, don't aggravate it at all. Now, swiftly moving on to the long answer to the second part of your question, which is if I can personally predict my own inflammations. The truth is I can predict about 90–95% of my inflammations. I can pretty much tell you exactly why it happened and what I probably could have done to avoid that to happen. But it's not because I have this amazing device that goes, hey, a deal, 2.5 weeks from now you're going to have information that's going to last you 6 days. I don't have an invention like that. I really wish somebody out there would make one. The only reason why I can actually do all of this is because of experience. There's nothing more in ankylosing spondylitis apart from experience to get you through your life. Now, the first 2 years I probably tried to predict when it would happen, but because there's so many different factors that can cause inflammation that you need years and years to develop a catalogue to truly understand what will happen if you do say such thing. Now, I know that we haven't got all day to make this video, so I'm going to try to summarize as much as I can. So I'm going to put everything under the heading of lifestyle. Now, what I mean by lifestyle is the physical aspect of it, so your day-to-day physical activities. Now, it's common sense for me to say to anyone right now that if you're not stretching in the morning, if you're going to work only by car, so you're trying to avoid walking, if once you get to work you're sitting at a desk for 12 to 14 hours and the only time you really want to get up is if you've just gone to get coffee or you just go into the toilet, or you come back home, you slouch on the sofa in the worst posture way ever, or you go to bed and your back's not straight like mine is right now, then yeah, you're going to cause inflammation for yourself. Any newbie could tell you that. But this is a bit more advanced, trying to help you further understand exactly when and how inflammation might actually happen so you can start predicting these things for yourself. Now, before I say this to you, just because I can predict inflammation, that doesn't mean that I'm not going to have it. I will always still have inflammation once or twice a year. That's the big ones, the ones that you end up having to lie in bed for. But, you know, and there might be days where I might have the small little niggle ones, but the reason why the small little niggle ones is because I've probably done so much to prevent it from getting to a point where it's big. So, it's a little do's and don'ts. Now, my first do, like I said right at the beginning, is exercise. You have to get up in the morning and you have to do your stretches. If you don't do that, if you don't try to walk once in a while and you sit down 24/7, you're only hurting yourself. Unfortunately, you're not hurting anyone else. Now, a massive thing about lifestyle is that as we grow older, so those that are teenagers that are going to adults probably changing their careers like I am right now, or I was about a year and a half ago, is that all that takes a toll on your body. Disclaimer, this is probably the most important part of the video which you really truly have to understand. This is probably the biggest cause of inflammation. Before I began teaching and I started to do my university degree so I can become a teacher, I used to work in restaurants. I was a waiter, I was a bartender. Now anyone that's been a waiter or a bartender can tell you right off the mark that you spend 95% of the time on your feet. You walk kilometers and kilometers. So you've got to think of that as my physical activity level is like right here. Once I started my university degree, my physical activities were going to be like here. Now, be like here because I'm going to sit down for 6 to 8 hours a minimum a day at lectures and listening to my tutors. Now, right here, this gap, that is the biggest cause for inflammation because it's too much of a physical activity change. Any physical activity change in your body, boom, straight away, red lights should be going off in your mind. That's where the inflammation is going to happen. Even if your activity levels are really good, going down will cause you an enormous amount of pain. Even if your physical activity level was poor and you were going up, boom, your inflammation is going to be completely off the chain. It's going to hurt so much. And the reason is the gap. The gap is too big. I can promise you right now, you will be in bed with a massive amount of inflammation. It's just the way it is. So the only way I was able to try to avoid a massive spending 3-4 weeks was by trying to reduce slowly my activity levels prior to going to the university. Even though I managed to do that successfully, I spent the first week at university from completely walking around to just doing nothing but sitting around, and I was perfectly fine for 5 days. Soon as it hit that weekend, my body literally was like, I am shutting down. I was on more painkillers than I ever knew that I had before. And why was that? Because the gap was too big. Even though I knew it was going to happen, I predicted it was going to happen. There was very little I could do about it, which is a major don't. If you're going to change lifestyle for whatever reason it may be, just remember your physical activity level gap cannot be too much, or I can promise you, you will end up bedridden. Now, a do that I would suggest to each and every single one of you is to make sure your diet is fine and it's bang on. Now, I have made a video prior to this about diets. I'm not going to go into it. Do refer back to that. Another don't, which is going to sound ridiculous to a lot of people right now, but this for me happened about a year ago, so it's really just kind of caught up to me now. When you're a kid, you have 2 strap bags. Now, when I grew older, I just ended up buying 1 strap bags. Now, I went to university with that, to work, anywhere in life I used to wear a 1 strap bag. Eventually, about a year ago, I was at my chiropractor and he kind of said to me, like, why do you think all the pain always comes on one side of your body? And you kind of put 2 and 2 together and you're like, it's the 1 strap bags, because you're putting all the pressure to one side, and that's a huge no-no. So please, an advice, don't let it catch up to you. Stop wearing 1 strap bags now. Now, another do. I was a novice, I was young. There was a time when every time I had a pain and an inflammation, I would think to myself, I'm going to battle through it. I'm not going to let it hold me back. I'm not going to be bedridden. Don't do that. If you've got inflammation, just accept it, stay in bed and don't irritate it further. Another don't is don't try to set yourself ridiculous targets to try to improve your physical well-being. For example, if your goal is I want to be able to run a marathon, don't say day 1 start walking, day 3 start jogging, day 5 run 100 meters, day 7 run the marathon. It doesn't work like that. Our body, unfortunately, it isn't the same as anyone else. Any fitness program that you might see, that applies to the general public. Unfortunately, that doesn't apply to us. And the reason why is we have ankylosing spondylitis. We are going to get information one way or the other. There is not a single person out there that has AS that doesn't have some form of information time to time. It's completely inevitable. That's something you have to remember. Another do that I would say is work very, very hard on your posture. So that involves absolutely everything you do. So, for example, slouching is probably the worst thing you could do because that's a guaranteed 100% success rate for inflammation. I sometimes slouch when I'm on the sofa. It isn't something that, no one's perfect. You can't avoid it. You know, there are times to time where you want to slouch down just like anyone else in the world. But sometimes some good can come out of a negative thing. For example, a do is try taking your painkillers before the inflammation can even kick off. For me personally, that's helped. Sometimes it really reduces the level of inflammation that I know should have happened because of it. For example, if I'm slouching for about half an hour to about an hour and I completely just weren't paying attention and it happens, I'm like, okay, cool. Before I go to bed, before my body can start to just get comfortable, I'll take that painkiller. I wake up and I probably get a tiny bit of stiffness in the back, but nothing major that affects my life. And that probably comes down to me knowing exactly when my inflammation may happen and taking a precautionary measure beforehand. So start to learn things like this about your life. Another good example is, say, if you're walking down the street with your friend and you're not paying attention and then you don't see that curb, your foot falls awkwardly onto it. It's quite funny at the time because you'd make yourself look silly. Know straight away you've done that. That is also going to cause you some inflammation because I can guarantee you irritated something. That's what everything is about. That's what lifestyle is. If I gave somebody the perfect lifestyle that didn't irritate anything, I can promise you, you probably will get the odd rare inflammation, but you will have a very comfortable lifestyle. But we have lives. We are always going to irritate things. If you can see it beforehand, take a painkiller. Try to avoid that pain further on. Now, another one for you, that for those that forgot, inflammation now probably up your spine, hitting your neck, is I've got it now for a good part of 6 months, and I've discovered that if I don't sleep with a pillow, I completely lose any stiffness of my neck in the morning. I have no real idea why. Maybe the pillow adjusts it to a level that's really uncomfortable, but sleeping just on the mattress itself completely gives me that freedom of no stiffness in the morning. Now, these are only highlights of do's and don'ts. I generally want you to understand exactly what the whole point of this was about. But the best thing about a video like this is that it completely is left open to all the viewers out there. If you can write a do and a don't that you've done that's worked for you, I can guarantee you right now that will be useful to me and useful to anyone out there. Thank you so much for listening. Please do subscribe to my YouTube channel and my Facebook page. Don't ever hesitate to ask me any questions on my Gmail account. Bye.